All right, my name's Oliver Nac. I was born in Croatia, moved to Hamilton, Ontario back in 1977, so I pretty much grew up here. I play drums in a band called New Day Rising. It's been around since the 90s. Currently sort of on hiatus. We kind of get together once in a while and like record and write. It's a very fluid situation, but doing that. I'm also doing a kind of a solo thing right now. I decided to just see if I can, write some songs on my own. So that's called Delta Cross. So I'm kind of aiming to play drums and bass on that, and maybe a little guitar. Get some songs written, and then after that, call the buddies in to properly play everything.
Nice.
Yeah. Some of my main influences, growing up, my dad was musical. He was a fantastic singer, played a mean accordion as well. But we used to go to these like Croatian dances, right? And we'd always a live band playing. And I'd just be like glued to the side of the stage watching the drummer, right? When I was a kid. And that was it. Like I would just sit there all night and just watch the drummer. So that was kind of like my real main influence growing up musically. Also, when I first moved to Canada, I moved in with my aunt and uncle and my cousins, and they were a bit older, and they're really artsy family as well. So my cousin listened to a lot of metal growing up and stuff. So that was a really big influence on me as well. So I grew up listening to the old guys like Sabbath, Zeppelin, old Iron Maiden. So Clive Burr, the first drummer from Iron Maiden, huge influence. John Bonham, I'd probably say, and later on Dave Lombardo, huge influence on me. And then again, it's like Danny Carey, Tool, it's one of my favorite bands.
Neil Peart too.
Yeah,
Rush, but still.
Yeah, absolutely, right. So that was kind of like my formation of massive influences that made me want to play music, anyways, so to speak. All right, what got me into heavy music, let's just say. As I mentioned, growing up with, musical family. I first got into heavy metal, so like I said, like Sabbath and all that kind of stuff. I kind of went through this weird phase in the 80s where I was like really listening to like The Cult, Depeche Mode, and, just from like other family members.
The John Hughes collection.
Yeah, exactly, right. And then I just met some friends who my friend Dan, he gave me a mixtape, and that mixtape was like 7 Seconds, like early Misfits, later Misfits, and that kind of really got me into that type of heavy music. I really got into like Suicidal Tendencies was on that tape, right? So that was probably like my real gateway into heavy music, and then it was like Slayer and like Sepultura and that kind of stuff, right? And then I started going to some hardcore shows here and there. Not a lot of it. Like I didn't really get into hardcore till like when I was in college, when I was like in New Day Rising and that kind of stuff. But the main stuff was like early, mid '80s to late '80s era of like metal. First concert I ever attended was Metallica. I think it was 89. Was the Justice for All tour.
Nice.
So I think it was 89. 88, 89 or whatever. That was awesome. That was it. Like after that, it was just I wanted to go to every show possible. And then shortly after that, I went to my first punk hardcore show. My memory's muddy, but it was either Slugfest or Chokehold. Maybe House for Zach or like a bowling alley or something. I don't remember exactly.
Was that Sherwood?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I was probably ran into you there. It was probably Chokehold.
I think I saw only a couple shows at House for Zach, but that place was legendary.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it was one of those. Maybe they could have been on the same bill even. Like I'm not sure. But those are kind of my first foray into heavy music shows.
Nice.
Yeah. Favorite shows. That's a real tough one. Favorite show that I've ever played at was probably, and this goes way back, 1993. We were on tour with New Day Rising. We played in Virginia Beach with Converge. That show was mind-blowing. And that was before they were really big. It was even actually before their first album, before Petitioning. And that just blew me away, man. That was awesome. Definitely, probably top 5 show of all time. And then, man, after that, it's tough because, as I was saying, my wife and I are big festival goers. So probably Lollapalooza in 1993 was unreal. Tool. That was the first time I ever saw
Cypress
Tool.
Hill and Body Count.
Body Count wasn't there. That was the one after that. But your favorite, Alice in Chains, was there. But Primus was there, and that one was pretty awesome. And then on our honeymoon, we went to the Download Fest in England, and Black Sabbath was playing their reunion. That was their first reunion show. That was absolutely awesome. Soundgarden played that. Bunch of Canadian Cancer Bats were there. That was pretty memorable. Just because it was my honeymoon and I had the best time. So
awesome.
Those ones are memorable for me for sure. And then just being in a band for many years, all those shows just kind of merge into one, right? So it's really hard to decipher in between some of those. Yeah. Craziest thing that happened at a show probably has to be the infamous riot at Cleveland Fest. And that was 95, 94, 95?
I'm not sure.
Something like that. We had just gotten into Cleveland. It was a long drive. I got a speeding ticket. Got to our hotel room, dropped everything. We were playing the next day. But yeah, we walked in, and literally with 5 minutes of being there, the riot happens.
Really?
Right? And we just kind of settled in. Fights break out, and it's just I don't know, 500 people just running towards one door, right? Because it was like an armory or something, right? And yeah, there was just one exit, right? So everyone's running, so we start running too, right? And I'll never forget because our guitar player Adam, he had long hair, right? And I think the guys from One Life Crew were like, "Get the fuck out of here, you fucking hippie!" He's just like, "I'm out," And so that was wild, and a lot of people left. Which really sucked because we played the next day. And a lot of people cleared out and we're just like, we're not taking part in this kind of a thing, right? So, which was really unfortunate, but it was that was definitely a memorable.
I wasn't there, but
that was wild. Another experience was this Canadian band, Big Sugar. It's one of the loudest bands I've ever seen in my life. In the 90s. Some dude was body surfing and it was during a mellower song, and he came across, and my friend that we were with just wasn't paying attention, and he just landed on him, and his head just snapped forward, and he just was paralyzed for a few minutes. He just collapsed, right? And it was rammed. It was at the warehouse in Toronto. And so we had to pull him out, and I thought he was fucked, paralyzed, And he came to, and slowly but surely, he could feel his arms and legs, but he couldn't move for minutes. So we were freaking out. And I've been in so many mosh pits. But that was the only time when it was really serious that something like that happened. There was another time actually at a Lollapalooza where a friend of mine went up and she fell on her head too, and it was out cold for a little while, but you gotta be careful, man. I can never do that stuff anymore. We were there for Buried Alive when they played in Hamilton just recently. And I got kind of stuck going to the bathroom on the side there. And I came out and I couldn't go anywhere. And this dude just jumped, stage dived and did a flip and just missed, kicking me in the face. I'm too old for that shit now, right? So
definitely.
That was my closest brush. I just kind of stayed back on that one too, because I just can't do that anymore, you know?
God, no.
All right, past and current bands. First real band I was in was New Day Rising, and that was 94. right out of college. I met Dave, and that lasted till about 98. And then it was weird because I just took this massive hiatus. I graduated college, and then like I got a real job, lived in apartments, and as a drummer, it's really hard to play.
Yeah.
And I just stopped playing. And then I'd probably say about 13 years ago, me and Chris Gray were just sitting in a bar. Neither of us were doing anything at the time, and we were just like, "What are we doing? Like, let's get back together and do something, right?" So we formed a band with my brother Alan, who's in the Black Maria in Zion.
Okay.
He played guitar, and our friend Gary Rugala played bass. And we started this thing called We the Vicious, and it really sucks because we wrote like 7 or 8 really good songs. And it was kind of more of like a darker alternative thing.
Yep.
It was kind of heavy, but and then we just like all of a sudden, one of us got married, other one had kids, like had his first kid and just died. Right?
Yeah.
I always want to go back and like record those songs, so I just don't want them to get lost in the ether of nothingness.
Yeah.
You know, it was really, really cool. And then right after that, we tried to do a New Day Rising reunion, attempt number 1. It didn't work out, but that kind of turned into Pale Drone. So there was like 3 guys from New Day. Pale Drone, plus Connor from Boys Night Out. He was a singer in that. And we did that for a few years. That was super fun. And then COVID totally killed that, which was really unfortunate. And then over that time, because we were not really doing anything, we kind of rebooted New Day Rising somehow. And it was just like a weird blip in time. And we recorded, at the end of COVID, wrote and recorded 5 songs. And we've been sitting on that for a little bit. And so right now, we're working on releasing that. So we've been in contact with a few labels, and we're like just almost ready to release it. We're just looking for one more label to kind of do something for us in the States. So we have like European representation, Canadian. It's just been a little bit of a pain in the butt, but the artwork's ready to go.
Nice.
So we're just sitting on that. I'm super pumped about that. And then the last year or so, I've been kind of like going back and learning to play bass a little bit. So I just kind of want to do my own thing. I'm not really playing heavy music too much anymore. So this is a new project. It's called Delta Cross. And it's going to be this like dark psychedelic, I don't know, it's kind of like maybe like Chelsea Wolfe meets Black Sabbath. A little bit of trip hop in there. I'm not sure. That's kind of where it's going.
And a little bit less Claypool from bass, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right. A lot simpler, but my goal there is to just get some like basic tracks down, get the ideas written, and then pull in my friends who are much better musicians than I am at bass and guitar and stuff like that. Maybe some like female vocals is kind of where I'm kind of going with that, because I'm not a good singer and it's not something I want to do. So I'm really excited to do that. It's a little bit of a slow drip. Just because of life is kind of hard right now with kids and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting that out.
Awesome.
What I like and dislike about being a musician. Wow. What I like, I mean, obviously just being able to create.
Yeah.
Letting the mind just whatever comes out comes out. That freedom is pretty awesome. Obviously the camaraderie too, right? Especially being in like, the hardcore scene and stuff like that is always like a brotherhood and stuff, so you can relate to that. That's always great. And then just like learning about, new music and different styles, right? Playing with different people, they push you in different directions. That was, one of the great things about, the bands that I was in is everyone was pretty diverse in music, right? We listened to everything from, death metal and grind to like hip hop and Brit pop and all that, right? And we try to like meld that all together and create new sounds. I think that for me that's the best thing about music, or as being a musician. The worst thing about it is, or what I dislike is, I mean, probably the business end of it, right? And all the bullshit that that you have to deal with, record labels and trying to put music out, money, and like everyone knows this right now with streaming and shit, right? Like musicians not making a proper living wage. That's probably like one of the most frustrating things. I obviously several friends in the music industry who are like fairly like famous musicians who you know, they don't struggle by any means, but you know, it's really tough for them to make a proper living now, right?
Oh, for sure.
Whereas no one's buying records, right? So I think that's probably the hardest thing about being a musician is the business end, right? Especially, you know, when you don't have a lot of power and you're getting fucked by record labels, right? You're not getting the support you need, that kind of stuff, right? Yeah, definitely almost disheartening in a sense, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Favorite food? Pizza, tacos. That's toss up, man. Yeah. We have Taco Tuesdays every
Tuesday
week with my family, man. Yeah. The kids love it too, so definitely those are the two faves.
Nice.
Useless talent. Oh, man. I'm a little bit of like a data junkie, so I'm a fountain of useless information, pretty much. You know, history, music history, all that kind of stuff. But also, it's actually a weird thing. You know, being in advertising and marketing for over 25 years, you kind of work with all types of companies and brands and things like that, right? So like I've helped sell like windows and doors, natural gas, like worked with banks. You know, cannabis, alcohol, like, so you have to learn about all these industries, right? So you just gain all this like random knowledge, right? I'm like, I'm fun at parties, probably, you know, I can probably chat it up with anybody, but like there's so much information I'll never like get out of my brain. That's just kind of sitting there, right? But yeah, it's my useless talent. Shout out to Steve and Stronger Than Ever. I think what he does is super important for, you know, culture and our society in general, is, you know, documenting, you know, the music scene, you know, the grassroots stuff. That it's really super important because everyone's favorite band or musician like started off somewhere, you know, in a basement, you know, playing these little shows, and, you know, super important to like foster this stuff and, you know, just putting it out there for people to see. So man, thank you so much for what you do. Really appreciate it.